Oh, dang it, guys. My internet connection is unstable.
This is a place.
This is a place?
This is a place. We want to talk about. This is a place.
Thank you for listening to This is a Place podcast. My name is Brandon.
My name is Nate.
My name is Matt.
And we want to wish everyone freedom from fear of speaking day, which is something that you both need to overcome because you don't talk enough on the podcast.
I don't think that's true about myself.
That was a joke. I was being sarcastic.
Oh,
I was being sarcastic.
Does it mean talking or speaking? Is there a difference?
Well, let's see exactly what it says. It's in recognition of the fear of speaking in public experienced by many people. So I guess, does this count as public, speaking in public?
No.
That's a good question. This is speaking in private. These are jokes we make in private that are published publicly.
Because it is different talking here compared to if we were sitting on a stage at the fairgrounds or something.
Or at Lagoon.
1,000 people or Lagoon. Missed opportunity. So it's different if you're speaking here or if you're on the, what stage is it at Lagoon? Anyways.
Oh, that's a good question.
Does that have a name?
What is that stage called?
What is that little
Let's look it up.
musical
Look it up.
stage?
Is that your Mark Norman impression right there? Look it
No,
up.
I just said, let's look it up.
That's what he always says, and it makes me laugh.
Oh, Mark Norman. Yeah.
Look it up. I also was gonna look at this as a day where I need freedom from fear of other people speaking day. Like I'm scared of what you guys are gonna say when you do say something. But I'm gonna have to edit out the podcast basically. But I guess that also applies to me. I say some things that get on the chopping block as well.
It is called the Carousel Theater.
So,
oh, that's really
there you go. That makes more sense.
Carousel Theater.
So we're on that stage, and there's people listening to us live. That'd be a little different than being here with us.
Look, this would never happen. But imagine us doing a live podcast from Lagoon or somewhere. How would that be?
I don't think people realize how much editing we have to do.
Exactly.
And how much swearing Matt does.
How many Matt says every episode? So many.
Do you really cut those out?
I do. I try. I cut out the that I can. I probably shouldn't worry about it, but
you're supposed to leave those in because they make it feel more natural. You sound too
real.
robotic if you cut out all the ums.
It's more real.
It's the thing. This is what you want to cut out. What is it? Carousel Theater. That's the.
Nobody's gonna hear any of this. We're just gonna cut to us talking about Carousel Theater because we obviously knew what it was.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, do you have fear of public speaking? And all of a sudden it's like talking about Lagoon. Just the beginning of you saying, well. So that is my question. Do you guys, I know obviously everybody knows that I don't lack the ability to speak and talk, but do you guys have any fear of public speaking?
I wouldn't say I fear it. I mean, I get nervous.
Sure.
But
I think even
saying a prayer at church, I'm like, what am I gonna say? Like it's not a big deal, but I
day
still
by day by day. By day.
Amen. more nearer. We just watched that like a couple weeks ago. At least tried to watch it, then I fell asleep.
That's a good movie. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Brandon.
I feel like sometimes though, I would rather, if we're going to get churchy on this, I would rather give a talk over a prayer. Because at least a talk, you're prepared. When you pray, you're not like you. Yeah, I'd rather that. I'd rather be just called out of the crowd than I don't have time to think about it. So prayer actually makes me a little more nervous. And I actually don't mind giving talks.
I
So
do not have a fear of speaking in public. In fact, last week I was the officiant for my sister's wedding.
Okay, now we're bragging.
Now we're bragging, yeah. And
why
no,
were we not invited?
it was fun. Oh, because
I said the
it's very
same
exclusive.
If
thing.
Joey was able to
Oh,
invite
because it was
his parents
very
to Monica's wedding, we should have.
It was very exclusive. They had like assigned seats outside, not just for dinner, but outside as well.
I don't care how exclusive it was. I was in a music video with your sister, and I didn't get an invite.
Yeah, my uncle didn't get an invite. So, um, yeah,
Are they scared of what he'll say in public if he does public speaking as well?
no, he's got some health issues right now, so we figured we were probably doing him a favor. Not we, my sister. But anyway, I was not.
Sorry.
Go ahead. What were you going to ask?
I was just gonna say where was that, but we can.
Soldier Hollow.
Oh,
I don't know if that's Midway or
Full way.
Heber.
I think that's more midway.
Either way, we were there. Very windy. I did not have a microphone, so I had to yell. But I wasn't nervous. I don't think I came across nervous at all. I'm very comfortable speaking in public. I have to do it a lot for work. And after somebody came up that like I met that day and they were like, "You did a great job." They were like, "A little nervous, I could tell, but you did fine." And my dad was like, "I don't think he was nervous. I think he did a great job." So maybe I came across as nervous.
You kind of
I don't
have
know.
a nervous energy. You're just a nervous guy.
But in this, I was pretty confident. I could say confidently. You just had to have been there. It's like a geography joke. You had to be
Well,
there
I
to see
tried
it.
to be there.
Okay.
Did you get on video or anything? Can we like
I don't
see-
know.
Can we see
So
what
I-
happened?
I made an announcement. My sister wrote out an announcement to make, which is pretty common nowadays of like, this is a device-free wedding. Please put your phones away.
Mm.
And I said, we have a photographer here that's going to capture all the moments. And I gestured toward her. This is before the whole wedding party came out. Gestured toward her. And I looked at her and I said, so don't mess this up. She started laughing. Actually, I said, don't screw this up. She's even funnier.
Use an edgy word.
So yeah. Huh?
You used kind of an edgy word, screw, instead of mess.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have no problem speaking in public.
Well,
All right.
We could do a live episode.
you guys may be the anomalies. There are many people out there, some of whom may be our listeners, that are afraid of speaking in public. So today is your day to break free from that fear. You have our permission.
Thank you.
Are they afraid because the building will catch on fire?
You know, because like you don't want to yell fire early, because then it's like, isn't it an offense of some sort? Because it causes panic. Isn't it like illegal? I think it's illegal to yell fire if there's no fire.
In a public, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So maybe they're scared if they see the fire and they're like, is that a real fire? Is that a prop fire that Lagoon made as a scene, a show scene? Maybe that's what happened in 1953. The moment you've all been waiting for. Everybody's been just hanging on the edge of their seats to find out why we skipped the 50s.
Well, it was November 14th, and that's my wife's birthday. Not 1953 though, guys.
Oh.
She's not a vampire.
Well, I mean,
And
she
you know
still
there's
could
no
be a
vampires in
vampire.
Africa, right? Even though we're not in Africa. Did you guys know that?
I know why.
Why?
Do you know, Brandon, why there's no vampires? Because they bless the rains in Africa. They can't have holy water.
Oh, I see.
I love that one.
Okay.
See, what the listeners don't know is they're 2 minutes into the episode and we've been talking for 30 minutes so far.
Are we going to talk about the other fire too? Or just the one?
We should talk about all fires because this isn't even a fire specific episode. I mean, that's the main thing is the fires because it's the 4th of July this week. And what better? I mean, fires, 4th of July, it happens. No, these fires didn't happen on the 4th of July, but it just kind of fit. So we figured we'd talk about fires and then some of the fun urban legends. Well, fun and not so fun urban legends we're able to find because it deals with death, and that's not always the most fun thing to talk about. But
Before we get into it, I don't think you've acknowledged that you have a baby in your arms
okay,
while we've been recording.
I
So
do have
maybe
a
we should
baby in
just
my arms.
acknowledge because
If
there's
I
going to be noises the whole episode.
There will be
Yeah.
grunting noises and maybe little cries here and there. Just depends on how she behaves. So thanks for bringing that up, Matt. So people aren't wondering those weird sounds.
What is that noise? It won't be the first time we've texted each other about background noises in podcasts.
Yes, that's true.
So I just wanted to make that clear before we jumped into it. Sorry to ruin the flow. It's what I'm here for. Go ahead, Brandon. Oh my gosh. Go ahead, Brandon, and jump right into it.
Let's talk about the fire of 1953 first and foremost, because that was the big fire that basically destroyed all of Lagoon except for the carousel. Are you guys seeing similar things that I am?
I think the carousel was it was like mostly all of Lagoon at that point.
Hmm.
I mean, is the roller coaster, the carousel, and the ghost train. I mean, but it wasn't like a ton.
So it was mostly the carousel, was all of Lagoon, and a couple other rides.
Yeah.
And so the roller coaster
Small
was
things, yeah.
partially destroyed as well, kind of similar to the carousel.
Is that a question or a statement?
That's a question.
I think the majority of the. Well, actually, I don't know now. Because you always just hear it was destroyed in the fire. But of course, if any small section of a roller coaster is burned, it's destroyed because the roller coaster can't work anymore. So I don't know how much of the roller coaster burnt down.
Yeah,
There
even
is
if
a
a portion of
picture
the track
of-
is gone, then it's ruined, right? You can't use it.
Yeah. The ghost train was completely destroyed, and the roller coaster station completely destroyed from pictures that we have.
And what started the fire?
All I know is we didn't start the fire.
I was going to say Billy Joel.
It is unknown. It was, again, November, so it wasn't like heat
Not
and
fire
wind.
season.
Not fire season. It could have been some rascals playing with some firecrackers.
In November? Yeah, could have been.
Yeah.
Leftover from Halloween.
Yep. So, yeah, we don't know what started the fire.
It was closed, right? So it was, I mean,
But-
obviously Lagoon's never open in the winter, but everything closed after Labor Day, I think it said. And so, there was nothing, I don't know, apparently that would have caused the fire.
Nobody there. Maybe it was a bird making a nest and like
They had a
crossed some
caretaker.
wires.
Yeah. I mean, it was the 50s, man. There was probably a lack of regulation and things were just kind of thrown together. Could have been a number of things, but
It could have been just a cigarette.
The park manager, Bob Freed, and his wife were in Salt Lake City at the home of Robert Cutler, Lagoon's advertising director. So that's a little suspicious that the park manager and the advertising director were together having dinner when they received a phone call that Lagoon was on fire. Maybe it was burnt down for insurance purposes, which is totally possible. So, I mean, imagine that you're having dinner and you get a phone call and find out your business is on fire. Can't feel pretty good.
unless you planned it. So I'm not saying that's the case, but
We don't know. Yeah, it does say in the article that if the fire took place during the summer, they could have pulled water from the 1 million-gallon swimming pool or the man-made lagoon, and it would have helped put out the fire quickly. But because it was mid-November, all that had been drained off for the season, and so they were using fire hydrants, and the water was not coming out as fast as they were hoping it would. But one of the important things that they wanted to make sure of was that the carousel was saved. And so they had a stream of water basically running over the carousel to keep it wet. And that did not burn. What I do find interesting, it says you can still see evidences of the fire from the carousel. Some of the animals are charred.
yeah, I want to see that.
But yeah, I want to look for that. I would like to. That's a fun little Easter egg to go see that. It destroyed many rides, benches, chairs, and tables. that were stored in the dance pavilion for the winter, and all of the beautiful shade trees were destroyed. So it pretty much wiped it out. There are a few pictures you can find of this fire, courtesy of Deseret News. But yeah, it's funny that this happened in the 50s and like growing up, I don't know about you, Nate, but like growing up, for some reason, I always knew that Lagoon had a big fire and the white roller coaster burned down. Was that like, do you feel like that's something you grew up knowing?
No, I think we were more into like the other legends of people getting hurt. But I do want to say, on a little tangent here, wasn't it fun though, growing up before the internet, where you could just tell stories and nobody knew if it was right or wrong? And you could just go on for a long time believing a story because that's what your friend Matt told you when you were a kid.
There are fun stories to like trace back to. I mean, the internet was around obviously when I was in elementary school, but not, it was not
In its
super public.
infancy, right?
Yeah, in the
Your
late
internet
90s.
was
And
probably like that's weird to think that the internet to you guys was more like having a personal computer in your house for me. That makes sense at all. Like people wasn't till maybe mid 90s where having a home computer or a computer in your home was the norm. Like for us growing up, so my dad worked for Apple Computer, we always had a computer in our house. And that was a rare thing to have a home computer. A PC in your home.
And when we started with the internet, it was dial up, so couldn't be on the phone at the same time.
Yep.
yeah, but you are
So
right. There probably was a lot of, there had to have been stories around Lagoon that people just spread, and there's no way of fact checking it on the internet. And surprisingly, we couldn't find any of those. But everybody, I feel like everybody knew about the fire for some reason, and
Wasn't
maybe
something I
assumed,
really knew about.
oh, okay,
I think that was just you.
maybe, maybe my mom told me or something. And in
When you
my
say
mind, I thought
everybody,
like,
you mean yourself.
yeah, and I thought like it was the previous season. Like in my mind, like, oh, this place was on fire. Yeah, it was just last year or something.
But they did open up the following year, or in 1954. So they made quick work of at least being able to open something back up.
Yeah, which is impressive. And then it was referred to as the New Lagoon, which is something new that I learned. I did not know this. And for a few years after that, people referred to it as the New Lagoon.
The fire might have been a good thing, to be
So even,
honest.
yeah,
Maybe if the fire hadn't happened, Lagoon would have just been pretty small potatoes. But because of the new fire and all the insurance money, question for you guys: if there was a large scale fire to the level of 1953, what would be the one ride you think they would try and save? Do you think it'd be Primordial or Cannibal, or would they go back and try and save the fair, not the Ferris wheel, the carousel again?
you're saying the whole place is on fire, huh?
Whole place on fire. You can. It's not even us. Obviously, we'd probably save our favorite ride, but if Lagoon had a choice to save one ride, would it be one of these big scale rides, or would it be like save it back to their roots, save the carousel, or one of the oldest rides, most iconic rides, or
That's what I
something?
wonder, if it would be try to save the oldest ride, like the white
Class
roller
historic.
coaster,
Yeah.
because it loses that flavor, right? If it was burned down and they rebuilt it, then it's no longer the oldest like wood roller coaster. You know what I mean? Because it's, even though
yeah.
in a way it really over time has
The worst.
been updated and redone, but I would feel like that would be one they would try to save
But
first.
looking at it from a financial perspective, would they want to save one they spent the most on, or do they have enough insurance that, hey, it burns down, we can rebuild something back even better, even though it take time, right? Time and money.
That's what, and then the, yeah, and then
But would they
the
try and save Primordial or
resources.
Cannibal? You know what I mean?
I would still say they would try to go after the older stuff because even if you had insurance money, the chances of being able to replace it's going to be harder to find the parts and
Yeah.
everything.
I think they'd save Rattlesnake Rapids because it'd be the easiest.
That one's already on fire.
It's a
Don't they
good
have
point.
like
That is a good question, though. I think I agree with Nate. They would save the older stuff. That's what we would like to think. But in corporate America, they're saving whatever costs the most money.
That's true. Are they?
or do they just hope? I mean, it's probably easier for insurance claims though for the newer stuff because you know exactly what it costs to build. That's what I'm saying. And finding the parts and well, yeah, it'd be
Well, no,
hard.
you
I don't know.
could replace. I'm sure there's another 200-year-old carousel out there for sale that you could find. There's the Great America in
It's true.
Northern California that has the double-decker carousel, the world's tallest carousel, and that park is closed.
True.
So we could bring that one over. And then it wouldn't be the oldest carousel, but it'd be the tallest. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that question gets to how we feel about things, which is like young kids don't appreciate the same thing we appreciate. Do you save the history? Or to them, they're like, White roller coaster sucks. I'm only doing Cannibal because it gives me a real thrill. And they don't appreciate the rides.
Still
You know what I'm
going.
saying?
Okay, you have a vintage car and a brand new car in your driveway, and a boulder's going to fall on one of them. Which one do you let it fall on? Or if you could choose, I would almost say do the new one because it's easier to replace than a vintage one. So that would be my debate or argument.
That is a good question. How many times have I said that now?
So, have there been? I'm having a tough time finding evidence of it, but there have been other fires other than the one that happened in what was it, 2023?
Oh, I don't remember. Maybe it was 2023 because I remember last year. I feel like it was last year. You could still see the remnants of the burnt buildings, the bumper cars.
Okay, so I'm going to cut all that out to make us look really smart. But you guys remember there was the fire back in 2021 when we lost.
Oh yeah,
Geez, that was 2 years of tragedy at Lagoon because there was the wind that destroyed stuff in 2020, destroyed like Bulgy the Whale and
yep.
some trees. And then in 2021, there was the fire that destroyed the bumper cars. And is that it?
What else was there?
It says two popular. Oh, it also
Because there
destroyed
was the
the
bumper cars.
carousel candy store or whatever it was called.
Was there a store there? That's so
There
funny. I can't even
was.
remember now.
Yeah. It says two attractions were a total loss. What are the two attractions? Carousel Candy Shop. Yep. And the bumper cars. So those are the two that were destroyed. So I don't even know. I mean, we could probably find out. I'm just going to suffice it to say that there have been fires at Lagoon. There was one in 53, one in 2021, and there may have been little ones here and there in between. So if you guys know those fires and want us to talk about them, we'll do that next time at our next Lagoon
For the
Summit.
24th of July.
For the 24th of July. There you go.
I was gonna say after the fires of 1954 and going back to the new lagoon, they put $500,000 into it and really added a lot of stuff. Obviously built roller coaster, and the carousel was repainted. Spook House replaced Ghost Train. There was a new shooting gallery. Tilt-A-Whirl replaced an older model. Rocco Plane was added. So now we know that's been there since 1954. Octopus was added. There was a new and bigger prize center. Ooh. And then they added like maintenance shops and a warehouse to replace older storage buildings. But they really came back bigger and stronger after the fire.
And even after this most recent fire, I mean, I wasn't ever gonna ride the bumper cars, so I'm not missing them. But we got some new cool stores out of it. New,
Yeah, we sure did.
so I guess it wasn't all that bad.
Burned for insurance money.
I'm gonna make an executive decision, transition us to urban legends slash deaths, accidents, and the executive decision is I don't really think we need to talk about the deaths as much, right? We don't really want to talk about those. It's not as fun.
Yeah.
We'll say the highlights, lowlights, that there were in the long history Lagoon has, there are only 27 fatalities dating back to 1886. Uh,
Only.
I mean, that's not that bad. That includes it's not deaths from rides even. That could also be people having a heart attack in the park or whatever.
Dropping from the sky coaster.
Okay, so there's that
The
one.
sky ride. Does that
There's
actually, that one, I don't think that one counts for the park.
because he didn't
'Cause he
die
was just
on
injured in the
property.
park. Yeah. How many, does it say how many were uh, people that drowned?
Let's
I feel like
see.
there's got to be a few if there's pools.
Riders tested there. Okay. So it says the park would prefer to have no deaths, but then reading below, one can clearly conclude that most of the deaths at Lagoon were caused by patrons' own negligence or own negligence or recklessness. In others, riders tested their safety restraints or even tried to exit the ride on their own. Three of the fatalities on rides, the most of all, are from the wooden roller coaster. And I think we talked about some of
Yeah.
those in our wooden roller coaster episode. Add the worker's death accident on the tracks and further fatalities from the coasters, making it the park's most dangerous. Um, a lot of the other deaths were from the swimming diving, produced Lagoon's most fatalities in its early years. In fact, the Ogden Salem
Yeah.
Examiner on July 29th, 1912, stated in an editorial that due to all the drownings at Lagoon, its lake should only be 3 feet deep. And that probably speaks to, I think we talked about on our first episode, that there's no swimming at Lagoon, and that's probably a big part of why there's not. It avoids a lot of deaths because a lot of them came from drownings.
Yeah. Me and my sister actually did come pretty close to drowning at lagoons. That one area where there is water by the cave.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept pushing down on her because I couldn't swim. And I kept her underwater. And the lifeguard was not paying attention. And some guy saw us and came over and grabbed both of us. And my sister was bawling. Because she was so close. I kept pushing her down to stay up. So in that one area, I almost met my end. But now look at me,
Well,
officiating my
did you
sister's
meet
wedding.
your end, or is that your first murder?
Close.
You almost didn't
Almost.
officiate your first wedding this past weekend.
Your first attempt
Almost.
almost.
One of the water deaths was even a guy that snuck into the park and then drowned in the lake. So he wasn't even supposed to be there. That makes that 27 less, much less. One of
Sorry, I have to step out for just a second. Sorry.
the most talked about deaths is the one on Puff the Magic Dragon, which is super sad, super tragic.
Oh yeah.
So again, don't really want to go into all the details, but another thing is always talk of the wild mouse derailing and killing people. This says that while it did derail and maybe people got hurt, there were no fatalities that occurred.
Really?
Yeah.
That's impressive. Well,
But then you've got I mean, it says here that most of the deaths were the drownings, so it's really not, I don't know. I mean, anytime you go to anywhere, there's a risk, right? There's not zero risk with anything you do.
right, driving your car, right, to
Way
the
more
store today.
people driving to Lagoon, probably more people have died.
You probably have a better risk of getting hurt driving to Lagoon than being at Lagoon.
Exactly. And even the most recent death that we said is not even probably counts for Lagoon. The guy falling off the sky ride, he didn't just fall off. He jumped off. He he was pulling some shenanigans, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
But anyways, enough about the deaths. Let's talk about some of the fun urban legends, myths, and even some true fun facts about Lagoon. Did you know that Lagoon had a shootout in 1897?
I did not know about this.
I didn't either, and I was super concerned that Nate's assistant was telling me lies, but I found the source. It says shooting at Lagoon, bartender Alexander has encountered with thieves. They wanted free beer in 1897. In just its second year at its current location, Lagoon had a shootout at its saloon. Alexander um, ordered them to throw up their hands, but they fired 6 shots at him instead. It was dark, and their aim was poor. 1 bullet out of 6 fired at him took effect, lodging in his arm. Will not be able to mix drinks for a few days to come, as quoted from the Salt Lake Tribune of June 17th, 1897. The man ran away after the shooting. So that's kind of fun. I've never heard of that before. I'm sure many haven't. Here's another one. A 16-year-old boy was arrested for trying to wreck the Lagoon train in 1903. Jimmy John, a guy named Jimmy Johns, was shot by officers in 1916. I don't think this is the same Jimmy John that we know today. This is another fun one. Lagoon's foreign spy bomb plot incident in 1917. Either of you know about that?
No.
No. A spy bomb?
Yeah. Dancing master proves to be spy. Man who taught dancing at the Lagoon tried to blow up pavilion on Soldiers' Day. The professor had been teaching dancing at Lagoon had turned out to be a German spy, the article stated. The bomb didn't go off, but it did. If it did, dozens could have been killed or injured. It was reported that the professor disappeared, but was later captured and imprisoned in the prisoners' camp at Fort Douglas. The newspaper stated that the rumors were also circulating the spy had already been convicted and executed. The article also reported that another German who had been living with a family in Centerville had also been arrested as a spy and sent to Fort Douglas.
That's crazy. I feel like that should be. Well, I guess the fire actually happened. But some of these stories I've never even heard of.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, it was 1917. Was he really a German spy?
Right. Or he
That's
just had
that's
a funny accent.
yeah. Well, he could have been German, but was he like a German spy? Right.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, if Germany had spies, they're like, "Hey, go take out this pavilion at Lagoon." Like, no.
That's priority number one. Take down Lagoon.
They're-
Economics, right? And knock down the economics. And
Yep. Starting at our most critical infrastructure of the country with Lagoon's pavilion. Let's see. Burglary. How do you say that word? Burglary at Lagoon in 1934. 4 teenagers from out of state were arrested at Lagoon for trying to smash open penny arcade machines. They caused an estimated $1,000 in damages to 25 arcade machines.
whoops.
Thugs bind guard and get Lagoon cash in 1950. 2 experienced criminals. Now, these guys were experienced German spies. Escaped with up to 5,000 after they bound and gagged a night watchman in the Lagoon office at about 4 a.m. The masked robbers took all the cash they could find, including pennies. They were never caught. They were never caught. They could still be out there today.
We should do a true crime series about it.
Ooh, I love it. 2 Salt Lakers jailed after a shooting. Two Salt Lake men were involved in a shooting in front of the Lagoon Dance Hall on August 2nd, 1961. 2 young fawns were shot and killed in the Lagoon Zoo by unknown intruders sometime during the weekend of December 17th and December 18th in 1967. That's kind of weird. Someone just went in and
That's
shot
terrible.
some deer at the zoo. 3 teenage boys were stabbed in 1991 during a fight at Lagoon.
I bet it looked like a hair comb, but it was really a knife, a switchblade.
Oh, I forgot about that guy that sued Lagoon in 2021 for getting hurt on Wicked.
Yes. Ooh, that one. I do not like the details of that one.
Yeah, let's not talk about it. Ugh.
Ugh. I don't. Yeah.
And you're
If you
worried
want to look
about
that
your
one up,
ankle, Matt.
oh, don't. If you want to look that up, you do it on your own time. Oh, that one. I forgot about that one.
Let's see.
I always want ghosts. I want ghost stories. Why are there no? Is there a ghost wandering lagoon? Is there
Yes.
a freed person, like the family freed, not
Hmm.
freed from public speaking, freed.
I
Gold leader, you say there are ghosts?
well, when I was asking my assistant for some Lagoon, there's actually somebody who said, "Hey, I have a podcast."
Oh, I posted that, Nate. That was me. Just kidding.
They said they had a podcast about ghosts or something. Want to know if there's any hauntings in Lagoon. So, a few people chimed in. Like people claim to hear voices, shadowy figures, and cold spots, especially in the old schoolhouse and jail. One of the stories I read, I can't find the link anymore. I'm sure it's on the internet still. But a girl said that, I'm pretty sure it was a girl, that she was changing and everybody was gone and in the fun house. And some of the animatronics that are motion censored, like one after another, kept going off, but there was nobody in the fun house. So she's like, I didn't stick around to see what was coming. And she booked it. Stuff like that. But you're like, that could have been just somebody walking through the fun house.
Right.
Um, says before Lagoon's Funhouse was removed in the 1990s, it was rumored to be haunted. People claimed to hear laughter or whispers when no one else was around. So, same thing. And someone said they saw a man in a bowler hat watching from the upper levels. Even after the attraction was removed, some say strange activity lingers where it once stood. That's another reason we need to get in there, right?
Yeah. Maybe that's why they closed it. That's why they should be opening it. Haunted Funhouse.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
love the ghosts that just watch from the balcony.
they're just trying to watch the action. They're not going to participate. They just want to watch in a comfy chair.
I
That's
agree.
right.
The only time I've recently been creeped out at Lagoon, and this was not a ghost, but on Terror Ride, there's the hallway you go down where the doors are like shaking and stuff, and
Hmm.
there's supposed to be like smoke and a projection of a skeleton, and he's talking to you. But when that projection's not working, it gets very dark in that hall, and I remember it was just like a creepy feeling. Not like a ghost or anything. I've never really had that feeling to say like, oh, I felt like there was a ghost there, but it got really dark. And yeah, a bit creeped out by it, but
Yeah, I mean the ones you always hear, the ones Nate mentioned about the jail and the school, and I don't know where this comes from. I can't find a source, but everybody said that the whatever the one that has the phones, all the
yeah,
phones
that's right. All the
had
phones, the
Yeah.
go for it.
the phone
Don't,
I
museum.
can't remember what it's
don't they
called.
say that
The phone house?
people have heard the phone TV phone house? My kids actually, Rocky, my oldest, asks about it every time we go to Pioneer Village. Like, don't they hear the phone ringing in the phone place at night? Like, he
Yeah,
wants
see,
to go
even your kid knows
look
that. Like, how does he know that? Obviously, it's pervasive
from
enough.
us, from our podcast.
Okay, never mind. No, but
So,
that's the one I always heard about. And I remember hearing about when I was growing up that the phones would ring at night and people were going to go stay there. They were going to pay people to stay the whole night or something from a radio station. But we someone needs to go in. I don't know why this is one thing I think Lagoon should change is just letting people in to go document this kind of stuff, Go and spend the night in like Ghost Adventures or somebody. It doesn't have to be Ghost Adventures, maybe even just local people that could go in and do some investigations because these days, that doesn't deter people from going. That makes people want to go more, right?
Oh yeah.
I
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
nobody's gonna if someone hears you have a ghost, they're not gonna be like, oh, I'm not gonna go there. Everybody wants to go and try and get on the action. So I don't know if that's gonna necessarily bring more people to Lagoon, but I think it will bring more people to Pioneer Village. I think maybe some people don't even go because they don't think it's worthwhile. I don't know.
Some people believe that the spirits who died in the water have never left because they say they hear splashing in the
Ooh,
water when no one's around, and
that's so spooky.
there's an airy fog too sometimes, right? That goes over the lagoon. So
I haven't seen the Eerie Fog. Have you seen it before?
they used to do it back in the day.
I mean, if you believe in ghosts and that they stick around, I mean, there's at least 27, could potentially be at least 27 happy haunts at Lagoon.
Ooh,
Or if you believe that ghosts are attracted to energy, there's a lot of exciting energy there.
And
is
here's
sorry.
another thing. The buildings that they put in Pioneer Village, people could have died in there and stayed with the building when they transported it.
Potentially.
So there's even
That's
more.
true.
And
Is
when you,
Reddit a legitimate source like Wikipedia? Is
yeah,
that
it
true,
is.
right?
Right. It's all
Yes.
true.
Somebody says that on Reddit that in the coin collecting building, people would knock on the ceiling and something would knock back, and there's nobody up there.
Ooh.
The coin collecting building?
I don't know what that is. Do you?
Neither do I, because I want to try that out.
And then you think about it, there's stories about the old rock chapel, the in Pioneer Village.
Yeah.
I'm sure that one has stories too, right?
I mean, sacrifices that were done in the chapel, right?
Mm-hmm. Churches are awesome.
Churches are so spooky.
Churches are awesome, but they're so spooky. That's one. If we're going back to the church side things, that calling I don't ever want is to have to lock up the building at night
Oh,
all by myself.
I had that for a few months. Oh,
Did
for
you?
about almost a year actually. Yeah.
How many dead people did you see?
Zero.
They were angels, Nate, not dead people.
I don't think there's any bad spirits in there, obviously, but I don't know. It's just so creepy
It's
being in a
spooky.
church at night.
Or having to
I can
go
go
in
in.
the
I've talked
back where
about.
the
Yeah,
tables and chairs are kept underneath
I
the
can.
stage.
Right. Oh yeah, that's even worse. Especially after hearing people are making camps back there. You hear those stories? Maybe those are urban legends now. But I can go with my job. I have to go into vacant homes all the time, even at night. And I never get, it's no big deal to me. But
Oh,
having to be at a church all by myself, that freaks me out. Even in the middle of the day, sometimes if you're all by yourself in the church, it's still a little creepy.
that long dark hallway. Yeah.
All of them. So, I just, my whole point is, I'm sure that church, that chapel they have in Pioneer Village has to have some stuff.
Was it an LDS chapel?
I
I,
don't know.
I don't know if I don't think it matters.
Oh,
But
that's at Pioneer Park. No, sorry,
Pioneer
Pioneer
Park.
Village.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it is,
Okay.
and it's full of pictures of like Brigham Young and
Hmm. Fair point.
old prophets. Yeah.
I'm just saying the priesthood keeps things from being haunted. But if it was a Catholic church, for sure it's haunted.
Yep. Well, I was gonna say when you brought up Ghost Adventures, if they came, they would somehow bring in that there's demons there, and
Hmm.
that show has just gotten so bad.
That's a good
It's the
point.
same
That's
same thing over and over.
that's why I retracted and said they need to have someone local. One of these local ghost finding people.
Better yet, have some non-believers do it,
Mm.
because I will trust whatever
I I don't believe
they
any of
gather.
this stuff. Don't make me go because I'm gonna not see anything.
I wonder at night if they can say whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, if there's anywhere that's haunted, it's gonna be Pioneer Village. And so we need to get in there and find out what's going on. Now's your guys' chance, though. I mean, so we kind of put a close on this episode. What urban legends do you want to start? And I'll edit this part out so people don't hear that we're talking about this. But let's come up with some crazy urban legends to just get spreading around.
I think an easy one is that there was a child whose favorite ride was either Terror Ride or Dracula's Castle, and that child tragically passed away, and so their parents spread the ashes through the ride as they rode through.
And now you see a little
That's
boy
an easy
peek,
one.
and you see a little boy peeking through the window on the upper floor.
Yeah, sometimes it's not the witch peeking out; it's a little boy.
A little boy.
Very creepy. Very creepy. Which one do you want to start, Nate?
That these podcasters went in one night to test the theory of the phone ringing and knocking on the floor or the ceiling, and they never made it out.
Mm.
We're still
And
there.
Lagoon covered it up.
Lagoon covered it up. I don't know.
What you have said is the most idiotic thing that I have ever heard. We are all dumber from listening to you ramble. May God have mercy on your soul.
At no point during your
Incoherent ramblings. I'm trying to think of fun ones. What if there's let's make a legend about somebody drowning in Rattlesnake Rapids, and so when you go through the covered area, through that like mine shaft,
Mm-hmm.
if you look really hard, sometimes you'll see a hand like come out of the water for help.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
like it.
back in the 1920s, Lagoon was known for its lakeside shows, and one performer, Eleanor Graves, was a local favorite, famous for a lullaby she wrote called By the Lagoon Moon. One summer night, Eleanor vanished just before taking the stage, and all they ever found was one of her satin shoes floating in the lake's edge. Though her disappearance was ruled an accident, park employees have long whispered that on a quiet moonlight night, you can still hear her lullaby drifting through the trees near water. Some even claim to see a woman in a 1920s blue dress wandering the grounds, fading into the mist if you get too close. Legend says that if you hum her song when you hear it, she'll appear just long enough to finish the tune before vanishing once again into the shadows of the lagoon.
I love it.
Did you
The
write
person
that?
that wrote the Mill Hollow book should write a sequel and do a story about that.
There you go. Mill Hollow.
What is the song she's whispering? I know it was 1920s, but what if it was like from the window to the wall to the wall,
By the lagoon moon.
and she'll
Whatever
come out and
that
be
is.
like,
And she'll finish it for you. It's like, have you ever walked into a large crowd and go, whoa, and then just shut up? Then everybody will finish it for you.
No.
Or just you just say a really, huh?
From Frozen?
No, whoa, for the longest time.
Oh.
Something like that.
Oh.
Or you just sing the beginning of any popular song and you stop halfway through the chorus and then it drives people nuts and they have to sing. Have you guys ever seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And that's how he gets Roger Rabbit to come out is by
not
finishing the song.
Right. Well, here's one I found, guys, and this is 100% true. I mean, Lagoon's not going to confirm this, but do you know the reason the zoo was closed for real?
Because of that guy who got mauled and eaten by one of the tigers.
It wasn't a tiger. It was a werewolf, Nate. The Wild Kingdom trains operators won't talk about the night they saw a strange creature lurking near the zebra enclosure. And shortly after, they moved the big cats to a refuge. Not so. They were eaten. Bones and all.
Forever.
So that's the real reason that the zoo is closed. It's not because of everybody's protest. It's just a werewolf killed most of the animals. So
Interesting.
let us know what your favorite urban legends are about Lagoon, whether it be a fire, a werewolf, a vampire, a whole conversation you're not even going to hear that took place during this episode. Let us know what your favorite urban legend is. And if it's good enough, we will spread it like wildfire, even if it's completely false.
Do you think you have any listeners old enough to remember the fire?
Huh.
Wait,
My
wait, wait. Was it
grandma,
1954?
1953.
Yeah, yeah.
My grandma, I think, was alive. So I could ask her about it.
Well, that's 53. My mom was born in 59, so
That's
my aunt was
70,
alive.
72 years ago. So for them to be alive, they would have to be older than 72.
I think, no, she's older than that.
Okay.
I'm going to ask her. I'll ask her about the fire. She remembers.
I'll ask my grandma. She's 85. Happy birthday, Grandma.
Thanks for listening to This The Place podcast.
I love Lagoon.
Bye now.